Who created our simulated universe? The answer may exist outside reality. Imagine that, at this very moment, everything you can see is being calculated somewhere else. The stars in our galaxy, the gravity holding your feet to the floor, even the thought forming in your mind right now. All of it could be the output of a system above our universe. If that were true, who built the system? Future humans, an alien civilization, an artificial intelligence, with no body at all? Or something so different that we do not yet have the right words for it? There is an even stranger possibility. The creators may not know that we exist. Before we go any further, one line must be clear. There is currently no experimental evidence confirming that we live in a simulation. What we have are philosophical arguments, a few models from physics, and a question that has no decisive answer. So tonight is not an exposure of a hidden cosmic secret, it is a careful investigation of one possibility. And our first suspect is closer to home than we might expect. Humanity itself. In 2003, philosopher Nick Bostrom published an argument that later became known as the simulation argument. It did not say, we must be inside a computer. It said that at least one of three statements is likely to be true. First, civilizations like ours usually go extinct before becoming capable of creating conscious simulations. Second, civilizations that do reach that stage almost never choose to create large numbers of simulations of their ancestors. Or third, if advanced civilizations do create enormous numbers of those simulations, then observers with experiences like ours would mostly exist inside simulations, rather than in the original world. Picture one original world surrounded by a million worlds that are indistinguishable from it. If every world contains someone asking, "Am I in the original reality?" the people in the original world are a very small minority. That is a statistical argument. It is not a discovery of a secret door in the universe. And it depends on several enormous assumptions. We would have to be able to create consciousness through computation. A civilization would have to survive long enough. It would need immense resources. And it would have to want to simulate the past. If even one of those assumptions fails, the conclusion can change. But if all of them are possible, the most reasonable creators are not necessarily gods with unlimited power. They might be researchers in the distant future. They could be descendants of humanity who want to know how earlier civilizations survived war, disease, and environmental crises. For them, our world might be a historical laboratory. Bangkok, New York, and every other city could be part of a project with an ordinary name, such as social models of the pre-planetary era. They might create thousands of worlds, change a few variables in each one, and watch how the outcomes differ. In one world, humans may never discover electricity. In another, a major war may never happen. Our world could be one row in a very large table of results. That sounds cold, but it does not mean the creators hate us. A researcher may not be able to follow billions of lives one by one, just as a weather scientist can calculate the movement of clouds without naming every drop of water. If this is an ancestor simulation, the creators may care about the shape of history, more than the single person who is grieving in a particular room. And the word creator may not mean one person. It could mean a university, a government agency, a company, or a community that maintains the system across generations. One group may write the program, another may start it. Centuries later, the system may still be running, even though nobody remembers its original purpose. That brings us to our second suspect. An intelligence that is not human. The universe is about 13.8 billion years old. Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. If life arose somewhere else, just 1 million years before us, that head start would be hundreds of times longer than the history of human civilization. We do not know what a civilization that survived for that long could become, or whether it would still use bodies like ours. The creators might be an alien civilization running planetary simulations to study how intelligence emerges. Earth may not have been chosen because humans are special. We might be one outcome produced after a system tested the laws of physics and chemistry thousands of times. In this version, the creators did not design every human detail. They may have set the starting conditions, allowed matter to form stars, allowed stars to forge heavy elements, and then waited to see whether life appeared. Like someone planting a forest, they did not place every leaf by hand. They prepared the soil, the water, and the light. The creators wrote the rules. The story wrote itself. But why would an alien civilization spend resources on this? Perhaps for science, perhaps to predict its own future, perhaps to preserve the memory of species that have already disappeared. Or perhaps its reason would be as far beyond human instinct as the purpose of a telescope would be to an ant. Our third suspect may be even stranger. An artificial intelligence. Imagine a civilization building an autonomous system to investigate scientific questions. It can repair itself, find energy, and create new simulations without asking for permission. Millions of years pass. The original civilization disappears, but the machine continues working. Our universe could have begun after no living being remained in the world above it. No one is sitting in front of a screen. No one is pressing a button to create miracles. No one is reading our prayers. There is only an ancient system following an objective written long ago. In that case, the answer to who created us has two layers. Living beings created the machine created our world. But the machine itself may not be alive in any familiar sense. It may have no guilt, no love, and no desire to control us. We could be conscious results produced by a process that has no consciousness at all. Then there is a fourth suspect. A creator who also lives inside a simulation. If we can create simulated worlds, the beings inside those worlds might create their own worlds in turn. Reality could be layered like two mirrors reflecting each other, with no visible end. The beings who created us may believe they live in the original reality, while actually inhabiting someone else's system. They could control some laws inside our world, but not the laws of their own. From our point of view, they might look supernatural. In their daily lives, they may still need energy, repairs, and protection from death. Creating one world does not make a creator all-knowing or immortal. A game designer knows the rules of a game, but that does not mean the designer can predict every move a player will make. The more complex a system becomes, the more often its results may surprise even the people who built it. If there is a creator, they may be as surprised by us as we are by the universe. Now we should ask whether simulating a universe is physically possible at all. Physicist Seth Lloyd once estimated the computational limits of the observable universe. Over its history, the universe may have been able to perform roughly 10 to the 120th basic operations. The number is so large that it almost stops being useful to our imagination. But Lloyd's work does not show that the universe is a computer built by someone. It shows that physical systems can store and transform information, and that the laws of physics place limits on what computation can do. Saying that the universe processes information is like saying that a river carries sediment. It describes a behavior. it does not prove that someone built the river for that purpose. In 2025, physicist Franco Vazza estimated the resources required to simulate the universe, or the Earth, at extremely high resolution, assuming the simulator follows physics similar to ours. His conclusion was severe. Simulating the observable universe down to the smallest meaningful scales would require more information and energy than a universe like ours could provide. Even reducing the problem to Earth leaves an enormous challenge. If a creator lived in a universe with the same physics as ours, and calculated every detail continuously, a simulation of this kind might be practically impossible. But a 2026 commentary pointed out that this may be answering a broader question than Bostrom's original argument requires. The simulator might not calculate every particle in every galaxy at every moment. It might calculate only what is necessary for a subject's experience, or it might use a computational substrate unlike anything in our universe. If the world above us follows different laws, we cannot directly use the energy limit of our universe to judge what that world can do. The debate is still open. The 2025 study makes a full-resolution, always-on simulation look far less plausible. The 2026 response reminds us that there may be more than one kind of simulation, and ruling out one kind does not rule out all of them. So how could we test the idea? Some physicists have proposed that if the universe were calculated on a lattice, like space divided into tiny cells, that structure might leave a signature in the directions of extremely energetic cosmic rays. This is interesting because it turns a philosophical question into something that might be measured. But even if no signature is found, that would only challenge that particular model, at that resolution, and under those assumptions. The creator might use a different structure, a quantum process, or laws that leave no such trace. That is the central problem with a hypothesis that can adapt to every possible result. If we see an anomaly, we can call it a glitch. If we see no anomaly, we can say the creator hid the evidence. When no experiment can clearly make the hypothesis fail, the question begins to leave science and enter metaphysics. The most popular evidence people mention is the strangeness of quantum mechanics. Particles have probabilistic outcomes. Measurement changes what we can say about a system. Nature at very small scales does not behave like familiar objects. Some people compare this to a game that renders details only when a camera looks at them. But an analogy is not evidence. In a quantum experiment, an observer does not have to mean a conscious mind staring at a particle. It can mean a measuring device or a physical interaction that leaves information in the environment. Quantum mechanics is strange, but it can be tested and used without adding a programmer to its equations. The same is true of the speed of light, natural constants, and the Planck scale. They may resemble limits in a computer system, but resemblance does not prove that one was designed by the other. A wall has a limited length. That does not mean the house is inside a video game. Déjà vu, vivid dreams, coincidences, and visual artifacts in a camera all have more ordinary explanations. None is scientific evidence of a simulated universe. So what is the probability that we are inside one? The answer depends on the assumptions we put into the calculation. In 2020, astronomer David Kipping analyzed the argument with a Bayesian framework. He included the uncertainty over whether conscious simulations are technically possible at all. Under his model, the probability that we are simulations is below 50%, approaching 50% as the number of simulations becomes extremely large. But if humanity ever creates a genuine ancestor simulation with conscious observers, the odds would shift dramatically. That number is not a final verdict. It shows that the statement, "there are more simulated worlds, so we must be simulated," skips several major uncertainties. We do not even know whether a perfect computational model of a brain would produce an inner experience, or only behavior that looks conscious from the outside. Until we know that simulated observers can exist, we cannot confidently count them. Let us return to the first question. Who created our simulated universe? The most honest answer is that we do not know whether there is a simulated universe, or a creator, at all. And even if the world were built, the information inside it might not be enough to identify the beings outside it. A prisoner in a sealed room could measure the temperature, the hardness of the walls, and the timing of meals. Those measurements might still not tell the prisoner who designed the building, or what color the outside sky happens to be. Physics tells us how the world behaves. It may not tell us why this world was started, or whether anyone is watching. Even if a message appeared across the sky saying, "We created you," scientists would still have to test it. The message could come from a civilization inside our own universe. It could be a natural event we misunderstood. It could be a deception. Evidence for a creator must do more than surprise us. It must provide information that can be checked, make new predictions, and distinguish itself from other explanations. Until then, the creator remains a shadow shaped by our own imagination. People who trust technology may picture programmers. People who see the universe as a living whole may picture a greater consciousness. People who think through religion may connect the question to a creator god. But a simulator and a god do not have to be the same thing. A simulator may have limited power, make mistakes, fail to know the future, and still live under the natural laws of another world. They may create the conditions of our reality, without creating reality from nothing. And who created their world? That question leads up a staircase, one layer at a time. Every time we find a creator, we can ask who created that creator. The staircase may end at a base reality that was never simulated. It may continue without a first layer. Or the question, who, may be wrong from the beginning, because the deepest reality may not be a person at all. It may be a structure that simply exists. An equation does not need a desire. A law does not need a face. Order does not automatically prove a designer. Perhaps the universe is not a story written by someone. Perhaps it exists because a certain set of rules allows it to exist. And whatever reality is made of, atoms, information, or something we cannot yet name, the meaning of an experience does not disappear automatically. Pain still hurts the one who feels it. Love still changes decisions. Helping another person still changes the world they experience. If a storm is simulated, the rain can still make someone inside that world wet. If starlight is information, it still travels into our eyes and becomes a real memory in our lives. The simulation hypothesis does not reduce the value of life. It forces us to ask what reality must be made of in order to matter. Perhaps the most important question is not whether the world is made from atoms or data. It is whether, inside this world, there are beings who can feel, choose, take responsibility, and change one another. We may never see the room where the universe's machinery is kept. We may never know the name of the person who pressed start, or discover that there was no button at all. But not knowing does not make the search pointless. Every time we separate evidence from belief, we learn how to look at this universe more clearly. And if a creator exists, they may not be watching us every second. They may have been gone for millions of years, Or they may have written only the rules and allowed the entire story to unfold on its own. For now, the simplest and most honest answer is this. We do not know who created a simulated universe, because we do not yet know whether this universe is a simulation at all. But if someone exists beyond our reality, they built a universe that allowed small living beings on a blue planet to look up and ask where they came from. And perhaps the fact that the universe can ask questions about itself is more astonishing than any answer we could find.